What did you look for in an RE? I was going to say RE baby. RE IVF doc. I've had four who have been dry as gluten-free crackers, baby Mickey. They didn't seem like they were pulling for me like Dr. McConnell was for you. So, yeah. One, I looked for one that wasn't condescending. I know that sounds crazy, but my first doctor, I mean, the first one I was nervous and new and just really didn't know what to expect, but she was like sizing me up. And I didn't know any different, like maybe they're all like this, because some doctors, they have a God complex. And I'm like, oh, fertility doctors are creating life. So maybe, I don't know. But she was like, what school did you go to? And blah, blah, blah. And she's like looking at my shoe, you know what I mean? Like literally sizing me up and telling me what she was and wasn't going to do. And like, this is a no brainer. And she wasn't listening to what I wanted. And again, that's why everything happens for a reason. Like at that point, I hadn't fully found my voice yet. I wasn't fully exercising agency as I am today. And so I let her talk me into these IUIs because she was not going to do IVF with my own eggs. If I would have stopped and thought about it though, why would we do an IUI with my own egg? Like, I mean, obviously that's the only way you can do an IUI, but why would we try that? And I'm spending on vials of sperm, right? Let's just round up to $1,000 a pop. Um, and I feel like I had 7 IUIs there because that was before I went to Colombia, and I had a known donor for a while. So I was like getting free sperm. It wasn't really free. I wasn't paying for the sperm, but I had to pay for all the medical costs associated with it and the test. So it, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. And I had to pay for a lawyer to draw up the contract and yada yada yada. Just in sperm alone, I spent about $7,000. I should have just moved straight to IVF. But I think someone that will partner with you, someone that's knowledgeable, like ask them some questions about what do you think about this and what do you think about what my chances are? Is there a way to increase the chances? Are there any concerns that you have, like right off the top? But if a doctor also starts giving you recommendations before they've ever scanned you, looked at your uterus, been close enough to smell your breath, I would run. Because that was the thing. She was recommending donor eggs on that first visit, and she hadn't even done my ultrasound yet, just purely on my age alone. And to the point of like, she was like, I will never do IVF for you with your own eggs. Now I know that was more about their success rates, right? And so she didn't want to have to do like multiple transfers. Luckily, that was not a concern for Columbia, but I think they have more leeway because they are part of a university, and there's a teaching aspect to it, and so I don't think they're as concerned as like RMA was. So ask what are things that you should be doing, could be doing to help improve your health and help improve your percentages for a successful outcome. And niceness, find a nice doctor too. Like Dr. McConnell would call me on a Saturday, which I just thought was so lovely because I'm sure she could have been doing a million other things. And maybe that was her Saturday to be at the clinic. I don't know. I don't care. No other doctor in the history of my life has called me on a Saturday to give me updates. And so I greatly appreciated that. I greatly appreciated that she was nice. That she shared a little bit about her family, but not too much. I don't want to be like, we're not going to be BFFs, but at least I could have a conversation like, how's your mom doing? We could be cordial to each other and have, I don't know, nice little icebreakers before we got into the hard facts of whatever conversation we were having. And she was honest with me. Like, that's hard to gauge at the first meeting. You'll have to figure out what kind of question you want to ask to gauge the honesty of that. Like, if they're promising you the sky, that's a red flag. Just in general, at least in my line of work, you under promise, over deliver. So I look for that from a doctor as well, like under promise, over deliver. Don't be your own hype man. Of course, you want them to be confident and positive, like, right? You don't want to go into a doctor who's like, you'll never get pregnant. Like, that doesn't seem smart. But also who tells you like the pros and the cons of like, here's what can happen and what can't happen. And when I had my first egg retrieval, at Columbia, Dr. McConnell was not the one who did the retrieval. It was Dr. Brady. Before we did the retrieval, like the head dude called me to have a come to Jesus to tell me that I may only get one egg or I may get none. And did I still want to move forward? And I just was like, I'm not getting any younger. I've already done all these stems because it was like maybe 2, 3 days before retrieval. Well, maybe not that close. It might have been 5 days. The whole clinic was that's what I also liked about that environment, like the teaching environment. They would say, and maybe all the clinics do. Again, my doctor was just very transparent with me about what was happening, but they do reviews, right? And so they're all sitting at the table going through the file, which I like because then other people can opine of like, oh, did you think of that? Did you, Yeah, honest, likable, knowledgeable, because you figure some of them, like the majority of the doctors are going to come through with like a baseline of knowledge. They've probably gone to the same or similar schools, and especially if you're in a big city, just because it's competitive here. If they haven't gone to a big school, they would go right or wrong to like a smaller town to be a reproductive endocrinologist, RE. Oh god, I don't know. Those of you guys, chime in the chat. Who else has had an RE? Like, what did you look for? What was kind of a deal breaker for you? Oh, and the one thing I didn't like about the first doctor, when you first hear about donor eggs, I feel like that needs to be a gentler conversation. She was so blunt with me of like, you just have to do, you know what I mean? And like, it would have been better if she would have said something like, you'll become a parent, but it won't be in the way that you thought you were, right? No little girl growing up is like, oh, I want to have a donor egg baby. Like, it's not something we even think of. And so I just think you have to have like that hard conversation in a gentle way. Sugarcoat it a little bit. Like, I get you're a doctor, but damn girl, can I get some lubricant before you slide up in me like that? Anyway, that's what. Yeah, but some of them can be dry. So I do look for personality. All three of my doctors were personality plus. They were. Now, was it a good personality? Not all of them, but yeah, they definitely, because I'm a little bit off, so I need a doctor to be a little bit off because I'm going to ask you some questions and I need you to not be offended, like that's just period, point blank.